I'm Scott Vaughan, CMO of UBM TechWeb, and one of the reporters on Create Your Next Customer. Today we have the pleasure of being here with Steve Daheb. Steve is the CMO and SVP of Blue Coat. Blue Coat, you may know, is a strong player in the web security space and has gone through some interesting transformations recently. And Steve's going to share what the company's going through and some of the things they're doing in marketing. You talk a lot about the relationships with people and relationships with customers. How are you balancing that today?
Yeah, I think it always has to start with the customer, the voice of the customer. I think it has to start with what's going on in their environment. So being able to have a voice or position around cloud adoption, what's bringing your own device or BYOD to your environment, and what does that mean? Social networking in the enterprise, the mix of IT, sanctioned applications with your own applications that you're bringing in and using, or applications you might be using to circumvent IT. There are good tools out there upon which to kind of automate and do that. But I think there is no better, solution at the end of the day than really that kind of face-to-face, intimate time. I'm kind of an old school product marketing guy where you thought about the segmentation, you thought about the customer pain points, you thought about the problem. And I think engaging with them so they understand that you have an understanding of it and you understand what the requirements are in order to address them, and then you have a solution that meets those requirements, you kind of get back to some of those fundamentals.
How do you bring that into the organization? How do you bring that into marketing today?
Meet with the customers, go to places where there might be prospects and just kind of engage, have that dialogue, take that, bring that back. I can bring that back to my team. I can bring that back to the development team. And it's our duty to kind of bring that back in and understand what that means in terms of how we might more effectively create a marketing program, or ultimately what we need to deliver in terms of solutions to meet their needs.
Yeah, using the voice of the customer for the product and for the communications, I'm hearing. Sounds like live events or face-to-face events, I should say, because we have online and live events. What role do they play in your marketing today?
They play multiple roles. I think first in terms of, when you're at a face-to-face event, you really have a chance to kind of demonstrate your overall messaging and positioning, as well as ultimately demonstrate your solutions as well. I think when you look at some of the online opportunities like webinars and other things, it really is about being able to really deliver some of these key messages, out to the customer. So we're finding that works very well. When you use some of the vehicles like you guys have, it's exciting because there's also this kind of self-selecting. These people are interested in this topic. They want to understand, how do I address cloud security? How do I address this phenomenon of social networking in the enterprise?
So Steve, one of the things I'm picking up that you're focused on and that Blue Coat's thinking about, you're starting from the customer and the product need and moving out to marketing.
Yeah.
It sounds so obvious to do that, but everything I'm seeing and hearing from what you guys are doing is starting with there's a client need, a customer need out there. They're not quite sure what they need. We need to build that into the product and then take it to market.
I had this mantra. I actually used to have this poster up on my wall, and I should bring it back, which is, and it starts with voice of the customer, and voice of the customer ultimately driving the requirements. I've been kind of schooled that way. My father was actually a CIO in the Valley, so I actually grew up. I'm kind of born and raised a local boy, and it was interesting to hear him talk about the things he was dealing with and his perspective and his needs, and wow, this sea change is going on, or this trend is happening, how do I address that? And so it's kind of fun, kind of gave me this unique perspective, say, it's about you and helping, you, ultimately helping to solve the business requirements. I think that has to drive it. Badass little technology box, how do I just go out there and push it? And I think that really needs to change. I think it's much more about understanding their requirements, knowing the customer, understanding that you are a trusted advisor, understand their issues, and ultimately that puts you in a much better place to meet their needs.
So I want to ask you a question about, as you look out over the next 12 to 18 months, where's Blue Coat marketing going to be focused? What are the areas of emphasis that you're putting on?
Blue Coat's in a really great position where, we have a strong install base, 15,000 customers. We can call 85% plus of the Fortune 500 our customers, and so we have the strong base upon which we can help bridge them as they look at some of these new trends going on. The user is no longer, at his desktop, surrounded by the four walls of the enterprise. That user is now, at Starbucks on a laptop. He's in airport Wi-Fi on an iPad. He's accessing corporate documents or emails or applications on his iPhone. And so those use cases are changing. How are our solutions changing in order to help enterprises address that?
So Steve, thanks for taking the time to share what you guys are doing at Blue Coat and your experience. The way you approach your customer, product, and market and message is very unique. I know our marketers will find that very useful. So thanks again for your time.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.